Hey, chickadees. Welcome into today's episode of Mojo Mysticism. Just like we've done all week, we are going to continue to pull from the Shaman Stream Oracle deck by Alberto Villoldo and Colette Reed. Colette, you know who you are. So I will meet you in just a few short months. So we're just going to ask what the guides have for us today. What's the message that you have for us on whatever day we encounter this video? So whether you come across it right after it's been posted or 5 years after it's been posted, this message is intended to be for the viewer that sees this and the first day they see it, no matter when it is. So if we can just get in touch with all the guides of all the people who would see this both now and in the future, that would be awesome. So there's the third. Okay, so let's just see what we have here. Excuse me, I'm still getting over that cold. All right, so the three cards that we have this is interesting. So the first card is Netcaster. This is card number 42. It is preparations come to fruition. That's no surprise. Shouldn't be. And then we have card number 25. This is the Garden of Venus. This is rest and renewal. The Garden of Venus. Also no surprise. So I'll tell you what they're telling me already about these. And then the last card is card 46. So this is the root girl. This is the disowned self. The disowned self. So, all week we've been talking about gestation periods and what's coming, what's next, and these cards are a continuation of that theme. So we are looking at the card, the preparation coming to fruition. This is literally the birthing process of the new beginning that we talked about yesterday. The Garden of Venus, which is rest and renewal, ties in both to the gestation period, but also the divine feminine, right? We talked about that, I think, 2 days ago. And then the third card, the root girl, is about really accepting. This is radical acceptance of who you are. So it talks about the disowned self. That's the subtitle on the card. And really it's about acceptance of who we are, okay? And no longer disowning parts of ourselves. So together, the message these three cards have to tell us is that as we near the point of what's next, the new beginning that's coming, it is important that we stay the course with this kind of theme. We've had a theme today, or this week, 2 days, we've had titles that included the word boring or bored, right? But we continue in that vein because that is when the rest and the renewal comes, okay? Healing comes when we are still. That's what happens. So the disowned self then, that acceptance of who we are, comes as a natural byproduct of the rest and renewal piece. Okay? So we are in this gestation period. I don't know how long we're going to be here, but we are clearly still here, but we're getting closer to what's coming up because of the Netcaster, right? The Netcaster card here, this beautiful image, and the fact that it is really dealing with like that, the first part of the emergence of the new beginning. So it's out there. So maybe in your life, this happens to me all the time. So tell me in the comments if this happens to you. But I will be, going along and doing my thing, whatever that thing happens to be. And then all of a sudden I'll have like a sense like, ooh, something's coming. So tell me, like you can feel it drawing near. So if you can feel it drawing near, put near in the comments, right? Tell me that you can feel it, because that is what is happening with this card. It's the first signal that we've seen that says, hey, things are coming to fruition. We saw new beginnings yesterday, but this is really about preparations are coming. It's moving in our direction, right? So if you can feel it, put it in the comments. And then the rest and renewal card, which is the Garden of Venus card, this is really just reminding us to be in that state of boredom if we're there, right? Just own it. Own it. What's not? Why not? Right? What else you got to do? You're bored, right? So just own it and understand that as we go through this process, we are integrating pieces and parts of ourself, and we are allowing other pieces and parts to fall away that no longer serve us. And that is the root girl, the disowned self, allowing and accepting yourself for who you are, because you are a beautiful human being with a beautiful heart and a beautiful spirit and a beautiful purpose on this planet. And that is a fact. And if that is a fact, that means that all of the parts of us are beautiful. Not just all the pretty parts, but all the warts too. So we are beauty incarnate. So that is what we get to do, is integrate that into more fully into who we are, especially as we're stepping more and more into our authentic self, which is a card we got earlier this week. So rest in renewal, the Garden of Venus, the Netcaster who's making the preparations for the things that are coming to fruition, and this whole idea of the reintegration of the whole of ourselves into our bodies. So we talked a lot about gestation over the last couple of days, and we've talked a lot about what is happening behind the scenes when gestation is occurring, and this is more of a continuation of that. So understand, if you can feel it coming, you can feel it coming, and you know it's on its way. You don't know when it's arriving yet. If you're like me, it's like, I feel it, I know it's there, but I don't know when it's going to show up. And then we just continue to stay in the rest and renewal place. And these cards are honestly a little bit of a warning too, right? Because the Netcaster is saying, hey, we're making preparations for what's coming, right? For the new beginning that's right on the horizon. It's really tempting, especially if you're bored, to say, oh goody, we got preparations going on. I'm going to go out and busy myself to death, right? I'm going to go make some stuff up to do so that I am no longer bored, but I'm helping spirit. And the big thing is, don't do that. Unless your guides have told you specifically to go out and help them, then do that. But otherwise, don't do it, because it doesn't help. And in fact, every single time I've done that, it's taken longer than I think it would have if I just relaxed into it. So don't succumb to the temptation to help them out. Let them do the preparations. It's truly beautiful when they do, and it unfolds before you. I've had this happen many times, fortunately. And when it happens, and when you start to see the pieces fall into place, there is no greater feeling for me in my life than when I get to witness that. None. So, yeah. So we do the business of being bored during the gestation period, right? We get the rest and renewal we need. We know the new beginning's coming, but we're very busy integrating all the parts and pieces of ourselves, and the parts that we love and the parts that we don't love, because those have served a part to protect you. So I remember a time, I'll tell you this story. I don't think I've shared this yet on this channel, but I do remember a time when I was very angry at my mother. I did not talk to my mother for almost a year, maybe a little more than a year. And we can go into the circumstances around that at another time. I had my reasons. I'll just say, whether they were good or not, I don't know. You can be the judge when I tell you what they are at some point in the future. But nonetheless, I had about a year where I didn't speak with my mother. And I was actually on retreat at the time. I was beginning to study Tibetan Buddhism, so I went on retreat with Pema Chodron. We were at the Shambhala Center in Colorado, and it was a silent retreat, so I had a lot of time to think and integrate and relax and just be without an agenda. And this happened to be the same year that Katrina came in, because at the end of the retreat, we'd been cut off from TV and radio. There was no news floating around. Nobody knew anything that was going on. And I recall getting to the airport. It wasn't until I got to the airport that I had realized that Category 5 Katrina had made landfall, and it was devastating, utterly devastating. I do a lot of work in that part of the country, and you still see the remnants there today. And during this retreat, before I go too much more on chasing a rabbit, but during the retreat, I had a tent mate that had bought a children's book and for her daughter, and she was showing me this book, and the story in the book was so meaningful. Like, all of this had been orchestrated by the universe. There was no doubt in my mind, because the story in the book was about a child, the little kid that was in the book, that was the main character, about them choosing their parents before they came into this incarnation. And I believe that to be true. And what this little book, just leafing through this little book, taught me was that I chose to come into the family I came into. Right? Some of us wonder for our entire lives why we're with who we're with. But I knew in that moment that I had made a choice to come in with the people that I was in a direct familial relationship with, or family of origin. And I had been carrying this anger around for a long time toward my mother in particular. And I recall sitting up on a wall, just sitting there meditating and enjoying a beautiful afternoon. And I remember inviting anger to come and sit beside me, my anger in particular, right? And so we're talking about the root girl here. So I want to remind you, this is the context in which we're having this conversation, albeit a very one-sided conversation. Unless you put comments in, then it's two-sided. So, but the disowned self was angry. I was very, very angry. And so I invited anger to come up and sit beside me, and I visualized anger sitting beside me. And we had a conversation. And that was the first time in my life, and I was a grown woman. Katrina wasn't all that long ago. But I was an adult, and I had spent my entire life not knowing that my negative emotions are only there to protect me. But anger sat down beside me, and we had a conversation, and we talked about why it was there and what it was doing to protect me. And by the end of the conversation, I just invited it just to be my friend. And I said, why don't we just sit here and just enjoy the day together? And maybe you don't have to protect me anymore. Maybe you can serve another purpose, and you can come back when I need you, but I don't need you right now. But we can just be friends. And it was the beginning of a completely tectonic shift in how I deal with emotions. And it took a long, long time to really learn how to do that. So I can today, most of the time, not all the time. But it was the beginning of really understanding a little bit of the disowned self, and to really accept myself, and to really understand that those emotions that we label, and that's all it is, we label them as negative, that they are really, in fact, there to protect you. And if you understand the role that they're actually playing in your life, right, then you can find the freedom and the space in which to reframe that emotion, and maybe it takes a different role in your life. So that's why that story came up for me to share with you. So the disowned self, it's important that we don't judge our negative emotions, right? That we don't say, okay, these emotions are bad and these emotions are good. They're all just emotions, right? So if we can just accept them and then seek to understand the role that they play in our life, we can find that we have a lot more freedom than we used to have. It takes some time, but it does happen. So, All right, chickadees, that's it for today. I'm going to put my soapbox away at least until tomorrow. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for being part of our community. I appreciate very much. And we will see you here tomorrow. Mwah. Love you all.